You're watching the Three and You Giant Fans podcast brought to you by Scott, Giant, Mike and Cardone. We're sponsored by Manscaped.com. Use code AGREYMAN to get a 20% discount and free shipping. And download our audio podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
So it was the classic song by Kool and the Gang, Celebrate. And we all can celebrate good times, boys. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yes.
I am not allowed to sing that. Did you know that? It's not a, like, yeah, I was not allowed to have it at my wedding. And I'm not allowed. Yeah, no, my wife thinks that song is a giant cliche. And it was banned. And like, you wouldn't know because it's played at every wedding, right? So we actually had people, like, are they going to play Celebration? Like, no, there's no celebration.
You got the
So
kibosh.
she also tried to ban Chicken Dance, but somehow that got pushed back in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie banned a song.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we are the Three Angry Giant Fans. It's your host, Scott, Giant, Mike, and Cardone. We will take the ban off for tonight and celebrate. And big win for the Giants. We're now firmly in that second wild card spot, ahead of Washington. We still got Detroit clipping at our heels. Seattle's cooled off a bit. We'll get into all that. But first, let's give a shout out. So, hello, Suffield, Connecticut. Population 15,000. Was actually once in Massachusetts, and it was originally pronounced Southfield because it was the southern point of Massachusetts. So maybe it should now be called Northfield? Northfield?
Yeah. What's the name of it now?
Suffield. So I guess
So
they ran it all together.
1/3 of the tri-state area, right? I used to always wonder that growing up in that area, tri-state. What the hell does that mean, a tri-state area? Isn't that right? Do I have that right? New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
Was that the tri-state? The third state was Connecticut?
It was Connecticut. Some people, it could be Pennsylvania, but I was always New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. That's your tri-state, all the auto dealers and everything in there. There's always your tri-state dealer, your tri-state Toyota, whatever the hell it was. I'm like, what are they talking about?
I always thought it was New York, New Jersey, and Long Island.
Yeah, I was going to say Staten Island, Long Island.
Geography major there.
That's right.
So, Cardone, impressions of the big win against Washington. Now, we have to preface this by saying the three of us were together watching this game. Again, we had a save the season party, which was successful this year, and it was a fun time all around. But what were your takeaways?
Well, a true save the season kind of game, right? We like to trot that expression out there, each and every year, but we really haven't had one of these in a while, right, guys? I mean, this was one, and we said it during the game, and we know going in this Giant team, they're not capable of scoring enough points. Remember I referenced the Grey Goose game a couple weeks ago where you're just chilling on the Grey Goose is just chilling with the ice cubes. You just kind of kick back. You're up by 14 after one, you're up by 20 something and a half, and you just cruise the entire game. The Giants are not capable of having one of those games. So how many times did the three of us say, this is a grind, we're grinding, why do we got to grind? That's all we did all night. I know we'll get into all the meat and potatoes here of the game, but no, just the takeaway was that just a freaking gigantic win. I mean, there's no other way to say it other than, what it was though, guys? I think I don't know how you felt like on Monday. I was relieved on Monday more than, I was jacked up and still, watching a lot of the post game and getting all the recap and getting the flavor of all the, the jerk analysts on Monday getting their take. But it was almost more of relief after the game, than anything else, which was crazy. And we're not done, right? I mean, we still have to clinch a playoff berth. I mean, we have whatever the analytics say, 90-something% now to make it. So we're firmly in that, in a comfort spot, but nothing's a given until it's done, right? So I think we know that this team is not good enough to make a deep playoff run. No one's expecting that. But as I've said to a lot of non-Giant fans that I'm friends with and so forth, I just want to see this team playing on Wild Card Weekend. Just want to have a game to watch. Just want to be in the mix. Want to have the pregame. Want to have a whole week of preparation for a playoff game. I don't care where they're playing. We've said this for weeks now. I don't care who they play on the road. They're going to be on the road. That's fine. Giants play better on the road anyway. And kudos to Big Blue, fans, which they always represent very well in Washington. So a lot of blue in the stands, a lot of crazy Giant fans down there, bringing them home to victories. So I know that was maybe not a specific answer to your question.
Oh, it's good
Scott,
enough.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
and
it's just no, man. I mean, it just it makes up for the tie we had, a couple weeks ago. I know we'll get into all that stuff, but it was almost a sense of relief, to be honest.
Yeah, now I was less relieved on Monday and got more angry as the morning went on, but we'll get to that in a minute. So
Yeah,
Mike,
we're gonna.
Mike,
I'm sure we'll get to
you
that.
might touch upon this in your.
Well, I know where you guys
leave
are
it
going on
alone,
that,
so-
but yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it alone so we can all talk about it together because it's kind of news this week. But thoughts of the game itself? Yeah, I thought Chris did a good job there, and kudos to Chris for pointing out the amount of blue in that stadium. I thought that was pretty impressive for a game as big for both teams.
Yeah.
As it was. And I think, we got a tie and we got a win. So they didn't take their win this year. So we once again are dealing with Washington with no W's. So Washington is back on the table. No, I thought it was great. I was super excited about Thibodeau. That was a thing that jumped off to me. Just my goodness. I think some people were disappointed early because he didn't splash on the scene like an LT or something. But he is really finding it right now. The sack, strip, fumble, touchdown, that move was right out of Strahan playbook. And that was, I think early on we heard that Strahan had been working with him. You can start to see it pay off now. And I don't know much about the Commanders' offensive line, even after watching that game, but he got kind of loose on him last time a couple times too. So that was my big takeaway. I also liked early in the second half when we kind of got back to that formula where grind, as you guys said, grind out a lead and then unleash Saquon and just pound him up in there. And there was a point there, I believe it was maybe between the third and fourth quarter where he had like 4 or 5 straight runs. It was like they were 8 yards a clip.
They were in the fourth quarter at that point.
It was a fourth.
We even started the Saquon Barkley chant because, I mean,
yeah.
that was the point of the game where the Giants took it by the throat, was right there. And that was nice. That was good to see. But of course, as I'll let Scott lead off with, the Redskins got screwed apparently in that game. So
yeah. So we were watching it live at an establishment, so we did not hear all the commentary that was going on. And apparently, the post-game commentary was all about how Washington lost because of the officiating. Now we're talking about 2 matchups lately. So the first matchup last year, you remember, was prime time, and the Giants are celebrating because they think they have won the game after Washington missed a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But no, a whistle blew and Dexter Lawrence was called offsides, which he really was not offsides. But we lost the game. I didn't hear outrage after that. So after the first Washington game, we had the Feliciano flexing. We had the holding Richie James up from spotting the ball and then having a guy blatantly 5 yards offsides or offsides. It would have cost them 5 yards. That would have given Gano enough room to probably make a field goal. And I didn't hear much from the media on that following Monday. Redskins, Giants tied, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
This game, you would swear that the referees not only just favored the Giants, but they handed the game to Washington. And this non-call controversy really, really bothers me because think of all the sequence that has to happen for Washington to win. First off, they have to call pass interference in the end zone and give them another play on the one from the first down and goal or whatever. So now they have to punch the ball in, and they have to get a 2-point conversion to tie the game. And then they have to hope the Giants don't score in the minute that they had left to take the ball down and try and score. And think about the games. We watched the Giants last year against Tampa Bay throw a ball to the end zone where a receiver looked like he was mugged. No call. I didn't hear any outrage about that. So why is this game being highlighted? I will say this one thing about this first. Hussey's crew, and I don't like John Hussey. I always call him the maniacal Michael Scott. But I don't like John Hussey. But his crew let both teams play. I think they only threw four flags all game long. They let the players decide the game, which is something we've railed upon here all the time. We say, let the players decide the game. And there's 2 plays that stand out to me. The one was where they punched the ball in and they had a legal motion call or not a legal formation call. And Terry McLaurin is saying that he checked with the line judge and the line judge told him everything was okay and that he was good to go. If you watch the replay, the line judge motions for him to move up. Terry McLaurin moves about an inch.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a full yard behind the line of scrimmage when the ball snapped. And not only that, the ref has his hand on the flag knowing he didn't move up.
He didn't move up enough.
And he throws it immediately. It's not like some of those flags where they throw it after they see the result of the play. He throws that flag at the snap of the ball. The flag's in the air.
Yeah.
And the other part of this that bothers me is on the last play or the play in the end zone, they want interference on Darnay Holmes. We were watching it live. We didn't notice this at the time, but Thibodeau gets poked in the eye, and he's got a clear shot to the quarterback. So Thibodeau is off to the sideline, like literally holding his eye as the play is going on. And if you remember, Heineke scrambles a little bit, so he's buying time. If that's not hands to the face to at least offset, if you're going to call defensive pass interference, that adds an even another layer to that formula before. Now they have to replay the down. They have to score. They have to get a 2-point conversion, and they have to hope we don't score. So the whole thing bothers me that they went into the whole dissertation about how the Redskins got screwed, because this, out of all the games this year that we've watched with horrible officiating, this is the game they choose to highlight.
Yeah. That was excellent, Scott. That was really well done.
Yeah, spot on, Scott.
Yeah, that really kind of spelled it out. And the thing that bothered me about this week, like you just said, that this all of a sudden, and it wasn't just this game. There were 2 other games, but this is in that mix of games. Is the stuff that I saw? They actually went there. Now, to my knowledge, this has never been done before. The media said, "Is the NFL rigged? Is the fix in?" This is the week that did that. Not all the other shit we've seen for the past however long we've been watching football. Week 15, 2022, whatever it is. This is the week that they decide that the fix might be in. Because a couple of calls happen to maybe go the Giants' way in the game. So first of all, it's comical. The idea that the fix is in and the officials were fixing this game for the Giants, they would have had a way easier time fixing the last game for the Giants if they wanted to. That game was over. They extended that game.
Just don't call the taunting on Feliciano.
Don't call the taunting, and the game's over. So, if they wanted the Giants to beat Washington, then that's the time to do it. But this idea that because of this week, is it rigged? It's comical, and not the discussion. I think the discussion should be had. I just think it's comical that it came up this week. And the narrative out there, which Scott just did an awesome job of clearing up.
Yep.
Terry McLaurin did not check with the official, and the official said, "You're good," and then threw a flag after the touchdown. That was the first description I saw of that. I was like, oh my God. I went and looked at him like, what are you talking about? The official tells him to motion up. He goes up a 1/4 centimeter. The official puts his hand on the flag, and as soon as the ball snapped, he throws it. I mean, by anyone's account that I've seen, they said, look, Terry McLaurin was not on the line of scrimmage. There's an acceptable range there. He was outside the acceptable range. But if you ask the official and they tell you you're good, then you're good. Okay, you break the rules if the official says you're good, which didn't happen. The pass interference call, listen, do I want it? Yeah. If the tables are turned, do I want them to flag interference on Washington there if that's the Giants? Yeah, I do. But you know what? You pout a little bit, you pick up your ball, and you go home. How many times has that sort of bang play not been called or been called? It's just another play. We'd be pissed about it. We'd be talking about it here.
Yep.
But I'm not going to say the whole league is rigged.
No, you guys are making great points. I mean, it's we've seen this. This has been going on in the NFL. I think what it is, guys, we've highlighted it on our show here. At least I know I have. It's one of my crazy pet peeves that drives me nuts each and every week. Is that I think a lot of it has to do with the social media coverage, how they want to create controversy. They want a story, so they fabricate this bullshit. And again, let's go to the play to end the game. That's one we've seen that play a million times where the receiver, you're bailing the guy out. I know that there's a lot of contact there, no doubt, but it's one of those, like you said, Heineke, that's like his 4th read. Our defensive tackle Thibodeau is got half an eye over there hanging out of his head because there's no hands to the face, as you already pointed out, Scott. I was going to bring that up. Thank you for bringing, you brought that up. And that's one of those where Heineke, it's a terrible pattern, right? I mean, the guy's it's not like the guy, there's nothing going on in that play where, oh my God, he's dragged down in the open field. It's the quarterback, it's the receiver facing the quarterback. There's nothing pretty about it. It's just a defender he has every right to that ball as well. But you just said it, Mike. Would we want that call? Have we seen that called in the NFL? Yes, we have. Would we want that in the last play of the game? Yeah, we probably would. But we still would just swallow it and move on to the next week and just be pissed off. And Scott, you made a great point. They still would have to score the 2-point conversion. They still would have to go to overtime, and who knows what's going to happen in overtime. So many things would have to occur to call that a Washington win. That
give
the
them
media
their
just throws
W
it
back.
out there. Like we all remember. I think again the most vicious one. I mean, was that play worse than the one that occurred in the Saint Ram game a couple years ago in the Superdome, where that one wasn't called? We all remember that play, right? I think there was the Saints that got screwed on that call, was it not?
It was.
Yeah.
So that's why they put the rule in place the next year to review.
That's right.
Interference.
But I don't remember even, and maybe the media was all over it that particular week. But like you guys already said, for a game, probably because it's Sunday night, it's the nationally televised game. That game is always highlighted. There obviously was a lot riding on the game in terms of playoff positioning and what have you. But I don't know. I didn't feel like. And I don't think we're trying to. I always am careful about being a homer here.
Mm-hmm.
To just say, no way was that. It's the Giants. No, that's not the case. I think we're just trying to be, put our opinion, our highly educated opinion on what we have observed in this league for many years now.
And I really think if you go back, there's two other games that were played this weekend. One was the Indy-Minnesota game. That if the officiating was competent in that game, Indianapolis wins the game because they extend a couple of drives that were cut short or caused to extend a Minnesota drive because of bad calls. And then if you go to the Tampa Bay Cincinnati game, there was a play where Joe Burrow scrambled on a 3rd and forever. Actually, it was a 4th down. It was a 4th and forever, and he scrambled back and was sacked at midfield. And yet they were bailed out by a defensive holding call on like 4th and 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the Raiders Patriots. I mean, that crazy play happened at the end, which I'm sure we might talk about. But the touchdown that made that able to happen didn't look like a touchdown to me. The guy stepped out of bounds. So I don't know. The fact that it's a night game and everyone's watching, that's a great point. And maybe that's why this one was like featured so much, but it just seems to be, it's comical. It is comical with what we've seen. Like, guys, let me rephrase it. I said if we don't get that call, say they call pass interference on that is 3 games in a row against this team that we've had the game extended and won by Washington. Maybe. All right, that could have happened. Let's just say. Who's the fix in for if that's the case?
Great point.
I mean, literally, they miss a field goal, the game is over. Nope, they get a shorter field goal because of a guy who was not offsides, was called offsides. 2 weeks ago, game over. Oh, we have an offensive lineman flex into the guy who caught the game-winning pass. Nope, go back. And then this would be the 3rd game in a row where it would have been winning stop. Nope, 1st and goal from the 1. I mean, could then we say the league is fixed? They'd be laughing at us if we were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
It's garbage.
I think with the 3 of us, what we would agree upon is that officiating across the league is terrible, no matter who the team is or what the game is.
Awful.
Yeah. Officiating is horrible. I tell you, I don't know how much we want to get into. Coaching is horrible. I know that. I don't know how much we want to highlight individual coaching calls or decisions and things of that sort, but yeah, you guys are making great points about the officiating. I mean, we can. I don't want it to take away from this Giant win. I really don't. That's why. So I was trying to do that on Monday, guys. So, I said I was relieved. I was, but so I started to listen to a little bit of the coverage, obviously, to get a little bit of a taste. And that was the first thing they really highlighted was, were the Redskins screwed by the officiating, and I had to just go. I pretty much had to turn away, couldn't listen to it, and just what. This is a huge win by our Giants, and let's just I'm focused on that, and let's just start now. Look towards Minnesota next week. I'm not worrying about it.
Yeah. So I think we'll get into the breakdown of the game now. I will say one last thing on officiating that I thought was funny, because this is commentary I heard afterwards, and it was from, so you had Terry McLaurin that was involved in the that illegal formation call, and then you had Terry McCauley, the former official, in the booth. So Terry McCauley, in the span of a minute or so, he went from saying that the call on Terry McLaurin was too technical of a call and shouldn't have been called at that point of the game, to saying on the pass interference call that a pass interference call in the first quarter is a pass interference call in the fourth quarter. That should be called. Literally, he's telling the national audience this in the span of about a minute time.
Yeah,
I just thought that contradiction happens all the time.
No wonder the officials are confused. If that's the message that they're getting, seriously, that pass interference is pass interference at any time, but a procedure foul is too technical to be called with the game potentially on the line, then what the fuck were we called offsides for on a field goal?
I mean, there's a million, there's a million plays that occur in a football game. How about, and we can break down a lot of these. I was thinking of this one. Hey, you know what? If the official doesn't fucking call Heineke the old down by contact bullshit there on the 10-yard line when the Redskins are in the red zone, guess what? That could be a giant touchdown going the other way.
Yeah.
We got rid of that rule for that reason. Don't stop the play. And this asshole's coming in there with the emphatic finger down to the ground, down by contact. Dayball had to use a challenge. Thank God he did.
Yep.
And when that went in our favor. But what if the official doesn't botch that play? I know it's not a penalty, those kinds of things, but it's still it's an official making a decision, and the Giants got screwed on that play because I watched that replay a number of times. The Giants probably returned that ball going the other way if there's no whistle there. There were 3 Giants recovering the ball. There's no one there.
Yeah,
that's a walking touchdown from 85 yards away.
Yeah.
Anyone bitching about that? No. It's just meaningless.
And again, Scott and I have been talking about this for years, that official coming in adamantly pointing on the ground when he's claiming to have seen something he could not have seen because it didn't happen.
Exactly.
So what are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Patting the ground really hard and being emphatic about it. It didn't happen, so you couldn't have seen it. You're a piece of garbage.
There's a third down on one of Gano's field goals. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but if you guys remember, Jones, he scrambled. It was a third.
Oh,
it was a third and long. Yeah, there was a face mask.
Yeah.
No call. I mean, that would extend. That would give the Giants a first down. Maybe they score 7 on that drive instead of 3. There's everyone likes to point because it's the last play of the game and the game ends on that play. That's why it's so impactful, and that's why it's it gets the coverage that it does. Because if that's in the middle of the game, you might not even remember it.
Yeah.
In terms of certainly the media, the fans will remember it, and guys like us. But the media might not even they might even highlight that on the coverage the next day. Who knows?
Well, there were missed plays by us. We got off. We're going to talk about the lead that we got off to in the first half, and we didn't really capitalize on that. But right before the final sequence, if you remember that play where Heineke sort of bobbles the snap, it goes to the ground, he picks it up and just horks it up there. You got McLeod has the ball right in his hands. If he catches that ball, game's over. No controversy. Giants win.
Yeah.
So we have to make plays at time. One thing I wanted to highlight because I think Mike talked about earlier with Tibbs's play. I mean, Tibbs and having that trifecta of the strip sack and the touchdown, he was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week this week.
Awesome.
But what I thought was clutch was that 4th and 9 conversion on. If you remember, we had a 97-yard drive to take a 2-score lead. I believe that was right before the end of the half.
Yeah, that made it 14-3, Scott, that drive. Yep. Yeah.
So that people that say that the coaching staff does not trust Jones with the football, they went for it on 4th and 9 and converted.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we were in unison that we disagreed with the play call. Or not the play call, but the decision to go
to go for it. Yeah.
And even after they made it, just so people know we're not results-based fans. We all said that's awesome. Shouldn't have done it. But yeah, I mean that was a moment in that game that was big, and Dable took it upon himself to make that call, knowing he's going to get eviscerated. If they don't, well, he's going to get eviscerated either way. So the only way he's not going to is if they go for it and get it. But still, as Parcells said, sometimes in this league you got to coach with your balls on the outside of your pants. So I think that happened.
I don't know if you guys saw the press conference. I didn't see. I missed Dable's post game press conference, but my brother was telling me that Dable had mentioned that he knew they were going for that play on Wednesday in practice. So like, how the hell do you know you're going for a four? So obviously, I'm sure he's thinking about if that situation arises in that area of the field, blah blah blah, whatever. So he had made a decision on Wednesday but I think what that validates is his confidence in Jones to make a play there. And I know we can talk about Daniel Jones's performance again. I mean, again, his numbers and stats they just don't jump off the page. But this guy is just getting it done again, guys. I mean, that's even though the Giants typically play well in Washington, he just went out. That's a road game, prime time, when their team's coming off of a bye, and just led his team to a huge road division win. But by the way, couple statistics. Prime time, the Giants broke, I think it was an 11-game losing streak in prime time, because we're always on the fucking road. So that looks a lot worse than it sounds, because it's tough to win road games in prime time. And then also, I don't know if you guys saw, in NFL history, the Giants broke the record now for 105 victories against I was going to call them the Commanders. There you go, Mike, with like, they have 105 victories against the Commanders now, all time, which leads any one opponent over another most victories. They were tied with both Green Bay and Chicago or something bullshit like that. I don't know, but
I was going to say,
Giants hold that record.
I would have thought Green Bay or Chicago or the Lions would have held a record.
Well, they were like
over
tied
one of
with
those
each
other
other
ones.
or something like that. Yeah, I think Green Bay was tied or at 104 against Chicago, I think, because they met the most times or something. So, one other thing about Daniel Jones that was crazy was this. I don't know if I heard this was the first time in his career he wasn't sacked, guys, on Sunday night, which is amazing.
He was not sacked. There were no turnovers by the Giants. So, you figure out between him and Barkley getting the ball and the touches, no turnovers. And on that 97-yard drive, he was 10 of 12 for 90 yards. Now, I believe that drive was culminated by Barkley, taking the shotgun snap, the wildcat snap and running it in. But out of those 97 yards, Jones was 10 of 12 for 90 yards, including the fourth down conversion we talked about, but there was also a third down and 9 conversion to Richie James as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Chris said it last week, and I am jumping on this bandwagon all day. Again, I watched this game. There's nothing I saw during this game that said to me that Daniel Jones is costing them anything. He did at the right moment, at the right time, he did the right thing like 95% of the time. So I'm sorry I got distracted there, but something just started blasting through my headphones. But I don't. It's like some ad just.
Manscaped. Anyway, go ahead.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But he plays. He does the best with what he has that you can imagine someone doing. If you're watching truly without bias, without a dog in the fight going in, you don't watch that game and watch Daniel Jones play any of these recent games and say, if he did a lot more, we would have won. Who is he, Superman? I mean, he's doing everything that he can. And that is not, it might sound like a knock on him. It isn't. If we get an offensive line and we get better receivers, what he can do is just going to keep going up. And I think that's what you meant when you said it, Chris. And it showed itself again. I mean, if you watch that game and the Giants somehow lose at the end, how do you walk away saying Daniel Jones cost us that? I don't get it. Yeah. And there surely would have been.
Yeah. There are people saying, even after the Giants won, we won because of Barkley. Don't give me this crap that Daniel Jones won the game for us. He did. We ran the ball the fourth quarter. We ran the ball. We didn't pass the ball. Here's another thing too. If you guys watched the commentary by Chris Collinsworth during that game, he was going on all this time about pixie dust and Heineke. Like there's some magic pixie dust that Heineke possesses. And I saw a tweet by RG3 after the game saying the Heineke magic, the only way to undo the Heineke magic is to call a bogus, or is to have a non-call on an evident DPI. What Heineke magic? The guy in the two games against the Giants, he's turned the ball over, I think, 4 times. He was directly responsible for a strip sack that resulted in a touchdown. He fumbled again inside the red zone that we recovered, like Chris mentioned. We probably could have taken it to the house if it wasn't for the guy adamantly pounding the ground. So Heineke is the one costing his team, and yet he's got pixie dust and magic, and Daniel Jones has a bag of shit on his shoulder.
Well, one theory that I have, and again, I don't think it's too far-fetched. It's Heineke's the kind of guy, he plays with a lot of emotion out there, right? And he's trying to fire up himself or his teammates, whatever. But he just, at one point, obviously the coverage of the media and also like during the game, I was barking at the bar, if you guys remember, because they were locked in. This one, we talked about this many times, when it drives us crazy. It started with Justin Fields last year, where the camera will continue to go to the guy over and over. And I think I was barking out at one point. They were locked in on Heineke, like late in the game, when the Giants were fucking moving the ball. Jones is marching his fucking team down the field, and the camera's locked in on Heineke, till finally it was so noticeable that I started barking at the screen. What the hell? You get the camera off of Taylor Heineke. This guy is not a legend in this league. He hasn't won dick. What is going on? Right? They were just locked in on the guy. And on the contrary, on the other side, you have Daniel Jones, very much like an Eli Manning. Very mild-mannered guy. You never see him get fired up. You don't, so that lends itself to, well, Jones is just, he's really not doing anything to lead his team at all. It's Barkley's offense, and Daniel Jones is just, he's a game manager, and he's not playing with a lot of emotion, whatever bullshit thing you want to say, because he's not giving you sound bites, because that's just the guy's personality and demeanor. I swear to God, guys, it's the same fucking thing that with Eli Manning, where this guy, he doesn't have that killer instinct, or he's not really, does he even care? You know what? This is why I'm starting to like Jones more and more with each and every week, guys.
I still say, you give any of us, any 3 of us, 10 days of conditioning, we could be the wide receiver 4 on this team, and we could perform at least as well as Kenny Galladay did in this one snap.
I will not accept that for me. You guys personally, maybe. I'm not gonna. I won't claim that. I feel like this is a skill that I have, like comparing a current player, kind of looking at his stats and his demeanor and say, okay, he reminds me of this guy. Heineke, I realized it this week watching the game, and listen, Heineke's got some work to do to get up to this guy, believe it or not. But just in the way he kind of throws the ball, he just seems to have a lot of nervous energy, turns the ball over more than he should. Jeff Garcia, is this a Jeff Garcia that we're seeing in Taylor Heineke a little bit? He's not a guy. He's not a guy who's ever going to run off and dominate this league. The pixie dust thing is something they've been falling for short-term quarterback good play for so long. It's hysterical. Now I go back to Don Makowski. This guy had a
magic man.
Yeah, I mean it's this league. I mean, we have all this evidence on Baker Mayfield. He comes into one game for the Rams and plays pretty well, and the media is like, "Oh my God,
we told you so."
Yeah.
And then this week,
right?
Crickets.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, by the way, of course he went right back to Baker Mayfield. That's who he is.
Exactly.
Of course he did. I go ahead, Chris.
No, Mike, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just saying, like, I don't want to, before I forget, like, I thought about it tonight before we came on. Both 2 turnovers. Now, one, he did get blindsided from Thibs there at the goal line, but still, again, if that's Jones, imagine Daniel Jones. Again, we say this every week. It's like a broken record, but again, when the guy, is part of a win, how can it be that the quarterback gets all the credit and all the blame, but like Jones only gets blame?
Yeah.
How can that be?
Yeah.
Doesn't this guy do something to win a ball game? We have 8 wins already this year. Like he's had nothing to do with it. Heineke was 2 turnovers. They were both his fumbles and deadly fumbles. Costly fumbles. I would love to see what they would be saying about Daniel Jones if that was him on the other side.
It's the oddest thing I've seen it's the oddest thing I've seen from the Giants fan base, how divided people are and how adamant people are to crap on Daniel Jones. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, even in the Dave Brown days, everyone agreed Dave Brown sucked, but we sucked. And Daniel Jones, all of a sudden, like we're in a winning season, and people are still, after every win, trying to take away from anything he's done. Guys, I watched him live in Jacksonville, thought he played a hell of a game, got online after I came home from that trip, excited as hell, and people were like, oh, we didn't run the ball on that last drive in the fourth quarter. It was all Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
It's quite amazing. I have no loyalty to anyone until they win me something. So, I'll throw Jones under the bus if I think he belongs there. But, Brown, what was his first name?
Dave Brown. Dave Brown.
I was thinking David. That didn't sound right. Dave Brown.
That's probably what his mom called him when he was in trouble. David Brown.
David Brown, you get in here. But that's a great point, is that Dave Brown, like, we knew the offensive line wasn't that bad. The receivers are pretty good. The running game was decent. Why do you still suck, dude? Like, there was there was nothing else to point at. All Jones has had since he's been here is things to say. He could be better if this were better. He would be better if that were better. I don't know. It's part of a little bit of a pet peeve I have. I'm just kind of going into here, but it's just especially at quarterback play, but it goes for team play sometimes too. There's no consideration of the people around the player. There's no consideration. Oh, this team is red hot. Yeah, they haven't played anybody in 2 months. Like, there's no consideration about what else is going on with that team. They just take it in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, I mean, if you look at, okay, these calls aside, the Giants just played a team that are 6-1-1 over their last 8 games, as hot as anybody in the NFL. The Giants played them 2 weeks ago and had some bad calls go against them and tied them, and then 2 weeks later come back and beat them. And the story here is about the officials in those games, in the last game. Yeah, right. That was a big win for the Giants. Every studio person picked the Redskins. The Giants were
not Tony Dungy.
Except for Dungy.
One person picked it. I know. That's awesome.
I mean, they're 4.5-point underdogs, which might have been a fair line at Washington. But yeah, we used to talk all the time about obviously game, and it doesn't matter what's happening in the game. They follow the script, and that's why the love for Heineke is because that was on Collinsworth's script.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that he's turning the ball over, all over the field.
No, because he's scrappy and he plays with a lot of fervor and he just plays with a lot of energy. So we're just supposed to like him. Doesn't matter if he's fucking fumbling the ball all over the stadium and it doesn't even matter almost. It's like he just it always goes to they anoint who they want to. It's always the narrative, guys. We talk about it all the time. They drag down who they want and they anoint who just based on and we know who the players are. We know those guys. Those are the Heinekes and the Fields and the guys that don't win anything, and it's the guys that actually are actually producing. Man, wouldn't it be I tell you, one of my all-time, wouldn't it just be amazing to somehow simulate, even with a computer, put any starting quarterback in the Giant offensive line and give them their receivers, and would put that into some system with all these fucking analytics and all this other gen stats and all this stuff. Put Josh Allen. I'll pick anybody. I don't even have to go as high as Allen, but pick any receiver. I mean, a quarterback, and give him the Giants receivers, their offensive line, and see what what are your numbers going to look
Hey,
like?
guys, we're seeing what Tom Brady looks like on a mediocre team.
Yep.
Imagine him coming to the Giants with the state we are with the offensive line and our receivers. He can't elevate people at that stage.
No, all you have to do is think about it like this. So I'm just thinking like a pretty good middle of the road quarterback. So the first one that comes to my mind is Justin Herbert. If Justin Herbert became available on the market, do you think the Redskins would throw everything they have at him, draft picks and everything, to get him on the team, thinking he could help them over Heineke right now?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
With the Giants,
I don't know.
Don't know. That's a great question, Mike, because
that's all you need. That's all you need to think about. If you even have to hesitate there. Now, there would be some people who would say, get him, throw everything at him. But I think the coaches and the GM and the Giants would say, what do they want? First rounders? I'm going to stick with our guy.
I know people that were pissed when we did not draft Justin Herbert a year after drafting Daniel Jones. And they weren't people that were pissed that we didn't draft Tua a year after drafting Daniel Jones. It's because they saw what Herbert looked like his rookie year in San Diego. Now, I have a whole other, discussion point with Herbert. Herbert, I believe, is a great quarterback. The guy still has never been to the playoffs, may not be to the playoffs this year. And much like Kyler Murray, I think you get into situations where, again, you're anointing these players before they actually deserve to be anointed, while guys like Daniel Jones are getting shit on.
Yeah. Right. He's got to prove himself over and over and over with this shit. Like it's I don't know why that is. I just don't know why. I really don't. And here's the thing, and I don't even want to think about this or I'm knocking on wood or doing something, but it's the only way sometimes to make people realize and really understand what would have to happen. I used to say this with Eli all the time. Have him go down for a few weeks and see what happens.
We saw it last year. That was
Scott, but that team was
garbage. That was a garbage.
That team was
dump.
That team was bad, like even worse than this offense. Like this offense is inconsistent only because I think of the things that we're highlighting here. But imagine Jones going down right now. So ask anybody that knows anything about football right now. Like pick they have 3 games left. Imagine if Daniel Jones is not playing. We got Tyrod Taylor run, and I'm not going to bag on Tyrod Taylor, but what are our chances of winning? Is anyone going to say that we have a chance of winning without Daniel Jones? Mike, you said this last week. I would pose this question to anybody, a Giant fan, media, whoever, and say, remove Barkley next week. You can't have either Barkley or Daniel Jones against the Vikings. Who would you rather not have and see and have a chance to win?
Barkley.
That's not even.
You can remove Barkley and still have a chance to win. You can't remove Daniel Jones and have a chance to win. You can't.
No. That's an excellent point. That's what it really comes down to. And if I don't even know who the Commanders' backup quarterback is, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Carson Wentz. He's healthy now.
Oh,
okay. So
there you go.
Heineke getting hurt next week, and Carson Wentz steps in. Does anybody think, oh my God, the Commanders are done? No, I don't think many people think they're done. Daniel Jones goes down. You could start making golf reservations for the Giants. They're done.
Yes.
So I think we beat the hell out of that dead horse, but yeah.
So I will say one last thing before moving to the Minnesota game, and that's I had to laugh about Justin Fields because again, there was a play in the Justin Fields game, by the way, which was another loss to the Eagles, and he ran for what looked to be a touchdown, and they ruled that he was out of bounds. And I heard on Monday, come on, just give him the touchdown. Look at how great that run was.
Yep.
So are we just going to avoid the rule that your foot goes out of bounds and you're out of bounds just because, hey, it was a great run by a guy who at one point in the game had more rushing yards than passing yards?
Of course.
We've said it before. He's an elite running back. He's not a great quarterback.
I was so tempted to look at his. I heard that same comment, Scott. Now I'm glad you brought that up because I heard that the other day too, and I almost vomited right on the spot. Just look how like the play that it was highlighted as like the highlight of the day by a fucking team that's like 3-11, eliminated, lost that game. that was the play that was plucked out of the all 16 the entire weekend. That was the one that like this. My play of the day weekend goes to Justin Fields of the Bears. Watch him elude this same thing. So I'm digressing here. I was going to make a point. Oh, I know. I was going to say I'm at the point now where I was tempted to look at Fields's game log and see if he has more rushing attempts than he does completions week to week. I'd love to see that stat.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. If the Giants go back and restart this year with the Chicago Bears receivers and the Chicago Bears offensive line, what's our record right now? I say we're ahead of Dallas, and we're
probably about the same.
About the same as Dallas. Yeah, we're around Dallas.
Because I think wins. I think we lost the games we lost. We legitimately lost. What I'm proud about with this year, we beat teams like the Titans that we weren't expected to. We beat the Packers, who now is not looking like such a bad win because they're all of a sudden on the upswing again. We just got done beating Washington. I'm not sure we get any other wins, and that's been my point with Daniel Jones too. These people that are saying, well, if we had any quarterback in there like Jacoby Brissett, we'd have the same record. No, I don't think we would, because I don't think we'd win some of those games that we won.
No.
So that's a tough hypothetical, because for me, I think we're where we're at because Daniel Jones got us 3 or 4 extra wins this year.
What's the biggest knock on Jones, right? Historically, up till this point, turns the ball over so much.
The turnovers. Yep.
And we know what his turnover stats look like this year. Not to mention, the team has, guys, 6 games this year without a turnover.
He's got the lowest interception rate in the league.
Yeah. Remember how under Judge, it was like week 9 or something. It's like, what are we looking for out of this game? Can we not turn the ball over? I mean, we're begging for a game where we don't turn the ball over. Now, I mean, it's like every other week we don't turn it over. Knock wood. But, I don't know what else, Jones. I don't know what else these fans want. There's like a little evil part of me, the little scorpion inside me that wants Jones to go down just so these idiots can see what this garbage pile turns into.
It's the only way to figure it out.
Maybe for a week after we beat either Minnesota or Indianapolis. So to wrap up the Washington game, so I will say this. I thought that we got really good play out of the defensive line. Obviously, Leonard Williams played well. We saw what Thibs did. Ojulari got a lot of impact in there. And an insertion that I thought was really good that of a guy that came back was Ben Bredesen. On the offensive line, played really well. The offensive line actually didn't look terrible. Neal got abused a few times. Thomas was back to being really solid. I think he gave up 1 pressure, and that was it. So I think we saw that in Barkley's stats. Barkley was able to run, especially in that fourth quarter where we basically, killed clock and everything else. So moving to Minnesota. Minnesota coming off a huge comeback win, the biggest comeback in NFL history against Matt Ryan and the Colts. And now we get them. And guys, the line in this game is only 3.5 points with Minnesota being favored, which to me seems light. But I don't know how much Minnesota has in the tank after that comeback, and I don't know what they have to play for right now. I guess they're fighting with San Francisco on that 2nd seed, but the changes that we've had in the playoff situation now, only the number 1 seed gets a bye.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe they have a letdown, maybe they have, so they did clinch the North, did they not?
They clinched the North. Yes.
They clinched the North. To your point, Scott, so what are they playing for? They're playing for, the essentially, because, they're a game up in the standings on the Niners. So really, Minnesota is gonna end the season a 2 or 3 seed. That's it, right? I mean, they can't. Oh, I'm sorry. They could still. I guess, catch Philly. I know they lost to them head to head, but mathematically they could. That's unlikely. So this could be one of those games where we catch them. Maybe in maybe they come out flat at home and they just a little bit kind of a letdown where the Giants are playing for everything still, and maybe we catch Minnesota a little bit. I don't know, still hung over from their historical right? All biggest comeback in NFL history, which we knew about the 32-pointer, right, with the Bills and the Houston Oilers back in, I think it was 92. I think
92
or
or
93.
91, yeah. It was
Yeah,
92,
92,
yeah,
I think. And
Frank
we all,
Reich came in.
I remember watching that game live. But anyway, so I don't know. I'm not ready to give a score prediction just yet, but I think it's going to be a close game. The Giants are, they're. Thank God, we got a win in Washington there. Now they can get back to being a little bit confident. I like this team on the road better than that Met Death. It's crazy, so I don't fear going into Minnesota, certainly, at the Dome up there. So, yeah, they got some tough matchup problems, I mean, yeah, whatever the hell that is. What is that again? What do they call that up there?
No, that's
Scott's
what
doing
Iceland does.
yeah,
Skull?
some Norwegian thing or
Skull.
Scandinavian thing or something. I don't know.
And you get the
Yeah. But
after every first down.
yeah.
That's almost as bad as a dun 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 dun. Go pack go.
Ooh,
Do do
yeah.
do.
Or that
Do-do-do-do.
freight train that Buffalo had going the other night. Right? What the hell? I wasn't aware of that.
Why is that? What is relevant about the freight train?
don't know.
That's a question I
Shouldn't
have.
it be
Is
a
that still the
stampede
mode of
of
travel
bills?
up there? Yeah.
Yeah, what about a stampede? That would be an awesome, like,
Right.
that would be, man, that would get me fired up, man. Why they go with the train? I don't
know.
Yeah, Minnesota, of course, they've got some scary weapons there, Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, and this on the road, as Scott said, or Chris said, and Scott has said, we've all said many times, there's a little bit more, for whatever reason, a comfortable feeling when the Giants are playing on the road and everyone's against them. That's really kind of their deal. But it might be a little bit too much, unless, as you guys mentioned, we catch them a little bit flat, catch them looking ahead a little bit. Their schedule, guys, is us. I just had this up. Where is it? The end of their schedule is us, Green Bay, and Chicago. Now, Green Bay and Chicago are both at those respective places, but it's hard to imagine them giving Minnesota any trouble. So this, if they look at their schedule, they might say, damn, we get past the Giants, we kind of coast home. And that is the classic recipe for a trap game for them. So, not that Minnesota's so great. We need some kind of great look ahead or trap game to catch them. It's on Christmas Eve. I don't think the Giants on defense match up particularly well with guys who can get open so fast, and with a quarterback or a running back like Dalvin Cook, who can do terrifying things out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe not the best recipe for us, but I think, who mentioned, Chris, maybe not much left in the tank. That was emotional. That was a big deal. And, who knows? That's why we play them. The Giants seem to have hopefully gotten some of their mojo back. That game was, as much as you can throw back to earlier in one season, the game against the Commanders was just the recipe we put together in the beginning of the season and then kind of got away from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we go back to that, we can play with anybody. I think Vegas is a little cautious about this, right? 3.5 at home for a team that's got 11 wins. So they're a little bit wary of it as well. I don't know if we're doing score predictions yet. I do not think the Giants have enough to pull this one out, but I do think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you, Mike. I mean, here's the thing that worries me about Minnesota is Minnesota can score some points.
Yeah.
And I think if Minnesota hits the 30-point mark, we could be in trouble. Now, I say that, but Indianapolis, who has had trouble scoring points, scored 30 points against Minneapolis, or Minnesota. Here's one stat that I like to look at. So the Vikings are 11-3, and out of those 14 games that they've played, 10 of them have been by a score or less. So very much similar to the formula the Giants have used in their wins, Minnesota's used in their wins too. If we can get to Kirk Cousins, he turned the ball over against Indianapolis. He could turn the ball over against us. I do worry about that firepower. And I worry a lot about Justin Jefferson because I don't think Adoree Jackson will be back for this game. So we still don't have a number one cornerback. We can get to the predictions if you guys don't have anything else to add. I do think this is going to be a game that if we keep it low scoring or in the mid 20s, we win. If it gets out of hand and it gets outside that realm, I think we lose. And so, saying that, I'm going to say we win this game 24-23. Because I think we're gonna keep them under 30 for some reason.
Yeah, I'll just go back to kind of tack on to.
By the way, I was the only one that picked the Giants correctly last week. You fuckers.
You were.
Hey, keep that going. It doesn't bother me.
I was buying a win. Now I think the Giants do keep this one close, and I think a late score by Minnesota puts them over 30, and I'm looking at like 33-27.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I feel it's going to be a close game, and then it's going to be one of those where Minnesota gets a late touchdown to make it look like it wasn't as close as the game was. I think the Giants are going to hang in there. But you just mentioned it, Scott, that Minnesota has a lot of firepower, and Justin Jefferson, I just have a feeling, is going to have one of his type of games. I think he finds the end zone at least once. And it does some damage on certain drives when we need to get stops. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those games where we just won't be able to get up the field. We'll be begging for third down stops. I don't know why this game in particular. I have that feeling for some reason, and I feel it's going to be close, like a 23-20, and then all of a sudden Minnesota's going to score one of those late touchdowns, and they're going to end up winning. I'm going Minnesota 30-20.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the thinking behind that. Actually, that's a very good.
That's solid. That is that reminds me of like the Dallas games we have lately, where man, we hang in there and throw haymakers with them, and then they get CeeDee Lamb on a crosser with 3 minutes left on a 3rd and 9. He goes for a touchdown.
Yeah, it's one of those where
same thing.
I can literally see it, guys, where it's a 23-20 game. We need the ball back, one last chance, and it's like third and 6 at midfield, and they hit a slant, and the guy takes it to the house. Now all of a sudden it's a 10-point game. Game over. Go home. Everyone, enjoy your Christmas Eve dinner.
Little full speed
and it's
crosser.
It's gonna, and then the report's gonna be, and the Vikings just handle the Giants 30-20 in a double-digit win, and let's go on to the like the afternoon game. What I could just see they'll just scoff at it and just discard it as like, Giants were no match for the Vikings.
Yeah, that's a perfect. I love how Chris gives us like the conditions of the game, the score, and then how the reporting's going to go after. I mean, that's beautiful. That's outstanding.
Exactly. If they beat,
guys, I can see
the Giants 30-20, it's going to be like Falcons Saints, and it's just going to be a byline, and that's it. They're not going to focus on the game at all. They're going to go back to like some other game and show like 20 highlights. For the Giant game, they're going to show that last-minute score by the Vikings, and the Vikings salted away 30-20.
I can literally see that it's 3rd and 6 on their 49, so just behind midfield, and they hit us. And Thibs is being held on the near side on edge, and we'll be barking for the holding call. Thibs is being held. There's the slant. Julian Love, someone's going to come flying up, miss the tackle, and it's going to go. They're going to be going from right to left on our TV screen, and I can see them even. The slant's going to be from the top. It's going to be a slant, so I'm not saying to Jefferson. I don't even pick any one of their receivers. And it's going to be a slant on the top of this. The right side. By the numbers, quick slant. It's be a 10-yard hitch and just in stride to the near corner pylon. 30-20.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Right?
This is what goes through my head. Yeah.
Like I can see it now. I can see it. That's it.
Can I change my prediction yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'm sticking with the Giants.
Sounds like Cardone has a time machine.
Do you have a copy? You like Biff? You have a copy of
the Sports Almanac,
Weather Almanac, Sports Almanac.
What was that magazine that competed with Sports Illustrated for a while? Inside Sports or something?
No, it was Sport. I think it was Sport. Wasn't it just Sport magazine?
Yeah.
No, what was the one from Back to the Future?
Oh.
It was.
Oh wait. Well, there was definitely. Sports Illustrated was always king, right?
Was it called Inside Sports or no?
Do you remember the National? Do you remember that one?
I do remember
I was
the
going to
National.
bring up the Daily.
Mike, you remember that?
Paper. I loved the National.
So did I.
Oh my God, loved it.
Yeah, because that had all the statistics and it broke down every team's because that wasn't readily available back that was like when I was in college.
Yeah.
I want to say like back around 1990, the National.
Yeah, that's
I discovered that one day and then I fell in love with that thing. It was awesome.
That is right on, because I used to work at a place and I walk across the street to get lunch and they had the National on the rack.
Yeah.
So I'd get my lunch in the National. I go back to work and eat my lunch and read the National. That was awesome.
So we went to Chris's house for a get together, a Christmas party of sorts on Friday night, and then the two of us were together, or the three of us were together on Sunday to watch the game. So we had a lot of time together, and we got to meet some of Chris's coworkers. And one thing they really wanted to bring up, and this ties into Manscaped, is Chris's penchant for being a metrosexual. So it's good that he's been good to actually promote manscaping, because it feeds into that, skinny jeans, sort of seersucker shirt wearing metrosexuality that Chris possesses.
That's actually it's a little bit shocking to me, but yeah.
I'm at a loss, I guess. I don't know. Didn't know where I was going to be the segue into the Manscaped promo here, but what the hell?
Hey man,
I'll let it fly.
You got to be ready for anything.
You really do on Three Angry Giant Fans. You never know what's going to come at you.
I mean, actually, the funny thing is, if you look at Chris's metrosexuality, Mike and I have sort of adopted that when you take on the Lawnmower 4.0, you take on some of the other products that Manscaped offers, and next thing you know, I don't have the skinny jeans. I don't wear skinny jeans well. Seersucker's too it's too wrinkly for me. I don't look good in it. My wife always says I leave the house looking like Adam Sandler, which I don't think is a compliment to me.
Now my wife says I look homeless when I leave the house. So I think Adam Sandler is better than homeless sometimes.
So if you do, you still have time to go to manscaped.com. You get 20% off your order and free shipping if you use the code AngryMan. And you too can actually be more like Cardone versus Mike and I. You don't want to be homeless or Adam Sandler. So be metrosexual.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
mean, you could. That's a great thing. We kind of talked about it when we had Tiffany on a couple of weeks ago. Is you don't have to like full dolphin shave yourself. But, we kind of had gotten to that point where, that's what we were thinking. But yeah, just trim up a little bit. There's guides, there's guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was good market research, I guess, having Tiffany on there, because she was telling us, say you got to leave a little bit, right? Like you said, you don't want to go full Uncle Leo like a seal when he lost his eyebrows, right? So.
Although I couldn't tell if she wanted to have a hair in her mouth or not in certain situations.
Hard to.
That part was a little unclear.
It's a little under her breath, a little foggy.
So trim that hair in case you don't know what Tiffany wanted.
Yeah, just in case. It's good to maybe be somewhere in the middle.
That's safe.
So you guys got any pet peeves for this week? I'll start with Mike. Chris went first last week.
Yeah, well, I kind of got into mine earlier, so it's gonna sound like repetition a little bit, but mine is just this. Again, I'll go back to sports this week and go into the media a little bit, but it's just sort of this narrative thing that they get on, and I know we've done similar things before, but there was a lot of examples of it this week. It's just when things don't go as expected, they cling to what they predicted, and I don't know why, because they're wrong all the time. Mm-hmm. So I really think that's what, I went down all the things the Giants overcame to win this week, and I think that's looking at all those things they had to overcome. We talked about it last week. I think that's why you get the media, like before the games when they do the pick. They look at that. They say Washington across the board, and they know. The Giants went out, listen, and in 8 2/3 quarters, 8 quarters in an overtime, the Giants look like the better team on the field for about 6 of those quarters. So to have across the board analysts come out and say Washington is going to win this game, there's got to be a reason why they haven't beaten the Giants in 2 games now. In 2 weeks. And they're not stupid either. They know, man, the Giants won that game about 3 times 2 weeks ago, and it ended up in a tie. So I do think that's where some of this is the fix in. It's a lot of the media now going down that path is because they're wrong so much. This is an excuse for them being wrong. Yeah. And it's okay, the fix is in now. I can't be wrong. It's impossible. So the officials must have changed the outcome of this game on purpose. That's the only explanation. Even though for that whole history of calling games, I'm like at 380 or 38% all time calling NFL winners. The fix is in now. I really found the whole thing comical this week. Like there hasn't been shitty officiate. I felt like you guys need to all go listen to the Three Angry Giant Fans for the 3 years we've been doing this. We've been telling you this.
Mm-hmm.
We've been telling you this. A few weeks ago on and I think it was in a Pet Peeves segment, I came on and I accused the NFL of not rigging the outcome of games, but of keeping games close intentionally. And I think that's a more realistic thing than to say the officials get together at the beginning of the fourth quarter and go, all right, the Giants are winning, right? Okay, you got it? Everyone got it? All right, good. Like, when you see games like the comeback that Indianapolis had, that Minnesota had against Indianapolis, that is nearly impossible to happen without bad calls. And you could even go back, Chris mentioned the game, the Bills-Titans. There were several shit calls at the end of that game that game should have been over. That was the Oilers back then, wasn't it?
It was the
yes.
Oilers.
Yes.
Was it the Oilers?
Yeah, the old playoff game. Yeah, Bills,
Yeah.
Houston Oilers. Yeah.
Yeah. There were several bad calls in that game, or the Bills are going home from that postseason.
Yeah.
There were several bad calls last week, or as Scott pointed out earlier, the Colts or the Vikings are losing that game. And we're going to see it more. I wouldn't be surprised if that record doesn't stand very long for the biggest comeback, because from what I've seen across the league, I'm not with everybody that's rigged or the fix is in, but I still say the officials are keeping these games close.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's tough to come back anymore, though. I mean, the way the clock runs nowadays, it's really tough to make a comeback unless you don't have a some sort of odd circumstance that allows it.
Yeah, well, you notice the odd when one of these things is happening and one team is rushing to come back into the game or trying to stop somebody, it's almost like the stepping out of bounds becomes a judgment call at that point. If the team that's behind does it, they're like,
mm-hmm.
If you're trying to run out the clock, they come the other way and they roll it or whatever. It just it's too much going on. It's the third down. I'm repeating myself from past weeks now, but it's the third down defensive holdings from out of nowhere in the past few years. It's the giving the officials the ability to run the clock more. It stinks, and I'm with everybody. But in the great words of at Christmas time, my favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. So I will say that in the great words of John McClane, welcome to the party, pal.
Yes.
I think we all
One of the
agree
best lines ever.
that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so there won't be debate about that here.
No, that's a zero debate situation here.
I'll pile on a little bit to comebacks and things that are rigged. You just covered everything about officiating. We do this, and the reason why we talk about it a lot, because it has such a big impact on all these games. You can point almost to at least one of these horrific calls or non-calls in every game. But what doesn't get as much coverage by the media or their fans, because this takes a little bit more fucking intelligence and knowledge and intuition and instincts. How about just coaching decisions that's going on in games now? I swear to God, like imagine, and I see this a lot in basketball too, where when a 33-point lead, if Jeff Saturday and that coaching staff just says, you know what, we're going to take 40 seconds off the clock for the rest of the fucking game, and just going to run the ball. You know what I mean? Or if we do decide to pass, it's going to be like a little check down or something. We're just going to take 40 seconds off the clock. Again, you'll run it, the clock will just go away.
Yeah.
To our point, the clock never stops running in this league. Hell, you can even run out of bounds. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Run anywhere you want on the field. Hand the ball off 30 more times, and the Colts win that game.
Yeah.
That, to me, is what's maniacal, is how these coaches decide to make decisions. And one play we didn't bring up, guys, and I know I'm going backwards here in reverse, but let's not forget Riverboat Ron's decision to go for 2 when the Redskins cut it to 14-8, and then they got called for the pick play which I heard some barking about that as well. As the Giants were the beneficiary of that call. Well, we'd all know about the pick calls that have gone against the Giants this year. And then, luckily Sly misses the extra point, or it was 14-9 at that point. That was gigantic, guys, in that play. That would have been 14-11 if there's no pick play. And then him missing the extra point, that kept it at a 14-9 game. But I'm getting way off track here in terms of what I wanted to talk about. Scott, it's not even a pet peeve. I won't even call it that. Just an observation. It's just an observation. And Mike, you mentioned it earlier, and I think it bears mentioning and talking about it a little bit. I know this is a Three Angry Giant fans, but we also talk a lot about what goes on around the league, and that play, that New England Stanford band kind of play when the game is tied. I mean, what can you imagine? If that's imagine that's our New York Giants team doing that, and we that's going to cost them most likely a playoff spot and probably could end their season. And what drove me crazy about the next day is that, and I know you got to be politically correct, and you got to, it's hard to just bury these professional athletes, but I was literally hearing more from reporters asking if this was a coaching decision rather than just some jack-off throwing the ball around like it's backyard football. Like, who, as a reporter, I'd be like, no, no, you're not answering. We're not asking that question. Like, if that's my publication, and here's Giant Mike from Cardone public. No, dude, you're fired. You're not asking that question. I won't allow it on my watch. I'm not allowing that kind of stupidity to ask.
No.
I heard more. 2 out of 3 were more. The response was, well, how do we know what was going on with the coaching? And you really think? Meanwhile, when you watch the replay, there's at least a handful of coaches. Couple things I noticed on that play. There's a couple coaches like just get down, let's go to overtime kind of thing. And then as Jacoby it was Jacoby Myers, right, who threw the pitch. It was Stevenson who got the handoff, and then as Myers throws the ball to Chandler Jones, I want to get the names right on this.
Yeah.
Help me out, guys, if I'm not getting it right.
Yeah, he throws it to Chandler Jones.
Chandler
he's
Jones on the
intending
Raiders.
to throw it to Mac Jones, but it goes to a different
Jones.
And then, so a couple things bothered me. We got, Mac Jones now has to defend himself for not making a tackle on Chandler Jones. He's on record saying, that's on me. I got to make a tackle. Like, no, you don't, dude. Mac Jones should be like, what the fuck is this? I shouldn't be having to deal with anything. I shouldn't have to be answering a question on this. I was telling him to get his ass down as soon as I handed the ball off to him. Mac Jones is getting posterized. He's getting laughed at. It's just unbelievable.
I got to ask you this. What is Mac Jones supposed to do when he catches that ball? Is he going to run 50 yards unimpeded? That pass goes like 20 yards back from where they already are.
But Scott, again, there's so many things on that play. We all know the guy. Listen, I mean, call it what you want. The guy, he just who knows? He might have thought we'll never get the answer because he's being asked if it was a fucking coaching thing. It's not even being asked. Like, no one will just say like, "Yo, asshole, what are you doing?" Did you know that? My first question would be like, did you know the game was tied? And if you just go down, the game was overtime. Did you know that? So you don't need to ask who coached you or any of that. And the one, I'll make one last comment about this, guys, and then I'll get off of this and be done. The other thing that always shocks me with stuff like that, it makes me wonder how many players realize the situation, because after Chandler Jones catches it and starts running the other way, I see several New England Patriot players on the sideline not really reacting. Some are, with the hands on the head kind of thing, but there's just guys just taking it in, like as if I don't think they realized what happened.
Just looking around. Yeah,
And everyone in the media thinks like, oh, these guys. No, I don't give. Sometimes I don't give players a benefit of the doubt that they actually know what the hell just occurred.
Yeah.
Well,
I really don't.
I made the comment to Mike because, Chris, you weren't there yet when it happened, and I said a Belichick coach team allowed this to happen, and then I thought back after I said that, and you remember when they played the Dolphins a couple years ago, and they had Gronk in on the last play at like safety. And the Dolphins ran like a little hook and lateral shit, and they ended up going like 55 yards for a game-winning touchdown. And Gronk is the last line of defense and trying to stop a guy running into the end zone. So it's not like this is the first rodeo Belichick has fucked up.
Wait, I thought I was done, right? I'm not, because I had to make one more comment. So, because Scott, you just reminded me. I forgot. I was on the way in my car to meet you guys on the way to watch the Giant game. So and I'm listening to that play on Sirius XM radio, obviously trying to visualize what the hell I'm hearing. And I was thinking, as I'm driving, I'm like, what the hell just happened? Nothing worse than listening on the radio when you can't even tell, because that kind of play is so bizarre that even the announcers are like, "Hey, Carson Jones is running the other way." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? Who? He did what? The Raiders just won? What the hell just happened?" So when I got there, Scott, you're like, "Cardone, you won't believe what the fuck is happening in the radio." I'm like, "Yeah, I was listening on the radio. I couldn't tell what the hell was going on." So I had to experience that just with audio at first. Like, what the hell just happened?
Just to go back to the beginning of your comments there's something that you said there that I find comical, because it's when you said if the Colts had just simply taken a knee,
yeah,
they could have won the game. I went, I did the math. Of course, you guys know about the Giants in the San Francisco playoff game where Shockey dropped the pass, they take a field goal.
No, I went blind, but yeah, that was more the highlight. But yes, I lost vision yes.
I went on Pro Football Reference. I think that was the time that helped me find Pro Football Reference, actually, or some version of it. And I did the math. On that. If the Giants had taken 3 knees and punted, like average a 40-yard punt, take 3 knees and punt, the Giants didn't have to gain another yard to win that game after the field goal. They shouldn't have. If they had just taken 40 seconds every possession or every play after that, it was impossible, mathematically impossible for San Francisco to win the game. And I think I remember saying that to Scott. I was like, it's mathematically impossible.
I still want the game replayed, the end of it. I want them to bring it back, like the 25th anniversary or something, and replay that. I want Matt Bryant's like 60-year-old ass out there kicking a ball.
Speaking of Jeff Garcia, right? Was that
Jeff
Garcia?
Gosh.
Jeff Garcia, it was.
It was Garcia. Good God. Yeah.
So my pet peeve's a little bit more innocuous. I was watching the World Cup, and it wasn't yet the championship, which was a fantastic championship between Argentina and France, but it was the 3rd place game between Croatia and Morocco. And I thought to myself, a 3rd place game. If you remember back, we used to have 3rd place games in like the NIT tournament or the NCAA basketball tournament, and no one gave a shit. And I don't know if anyone gave a shit about the World Cup 3rd place game either. And it got me thinking to myself, all I'm seeing lately is this player and that player and this player and that player in college football deciding to skip a bowl game because they want to prepare for the NFL draft. And I thought to myself, all right, you have the NCAA championship now, and it's down to 4 teams. It's soon to expand to 12. Do we really need like the Sun Belt Bowl? Do we need the Music City Bowl, or do we need a bowl game in Boise, Idaho? What teams want to be rewarded to play on a blue field in Idaho in the middle of fucking December? So there used to be pageantry to these games and stuff like that. Who wants to play in Yankee Stadium to the Pinstripe Bowl? Because it's always like a team like Syracuse if they qualify, and they play some team from the Big Ten or something like that. And so what's more enthralling than on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve watching Syracuse Northwestern going at it or something like that? It's just you got the college playoff now. Just let that be the bowl games. Do we really need remember the Blue Bonnet Bowl?
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Yes. The Blue Bonnet Bowl.
It's that's a great point. It's something I hadn't thought about, especially with players, good players skipping out on these games now, because can you imagine getting hurt in the Blue Bonnet Bowl? But so I even understand that, but yeah, they're useless games right now. Nobody says we have to watch them, right? I mean, there's
True.
Major League Soccer, there's WNBA. Nobody watches that crap, and it's supported by other sports. So, I mean, that's out there. I get my phone and I pick it up and I say, oh, what are the scores? And oh my God, yeah, whatever. Indiana State beat Michigan. What the hell? Like, Like, no, it's the women. It's fine. Like
A little
everything.
W there.
Yeah.
I do feel differently, however, though, Mike, about the Johnsonville ACL League, and that's the
Yes.
the American Cornhole,
Yes.
right? Or corn? Is that the? Yeah, I'll watch that.
No, one of the great leagues of all time. Yeah.
Johnsonville Sausage is the I guess the only sponsor, right? So
there's exceptions to every rule.
absolutely.
We've had 2 bowl games, by the way, already. The Cure Bowl,
Yeah.
and the Las Vegas Bowl. I didn't know either of them had happened.
Is the Cure Bowl sponsored by Pfizer? What kind of cure is
I
that?
have no idea. It was Troy versus UTSA, which I'm thinking is University of Texas of San Antonio.
That's it. Yes. So that's
And
I
it
think
was an
Conference
18
USA
to
and
12
Sun Belt.
barn burner.
Yeah. There's your Sun Belt, Troy.
2-11 and 2 teams going at it, and it was an 18 to 12 barn burner in the Cure Bowl.
Yuck. Just yuck.
Oh, I
Number
feel
24
bad.
in the nation versus number 25.
It's proceeds go to breast cancer awareness. So yeah, I feel kind of like shit now.
Okay.
But
yeah.
by the way, the UTSA team is the Roadrunners, and they have one of the best logos I've ever seen. It's awesome.
Is it University of Texas of San Antonio?
Let me see.
It's got to be UTSA.
It just says, yeah, it doesn't
yeah.
say. It just
No,
says
that's Texas
UTSA.
San Antonio. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conference
The
USA,
Roadrunners.
maybe.
I have
think,
no
or-
idea.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't
So the
follow
Roadrunners,
those.
I only know one
I know you're an
Roadrunner,
I know
Ramapo
you're an
College.
App State fan. I just watch the big conferences.
Yeah. Little zinger
Shots-
there, but
Shots
I can't
fired. Yeah. What
I
the
can't
hell, man?
disagree. I know. Hey, listen, the Sun Belt. We're the little brother that can't, in these power conferences. App
I'd
State,
like to
I don't
watch
want-
Sam
I don't want to
Houston
talk about App
State. I
State,
just
but-
don't have the time
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
Sam Houston State. I still love that one.
It's a good one.
So yeah, that's just my pet peeve. These
That's a
bowl
good
games,
point.
I think they're archaic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they probably had their place back in the 50s where people would show up in suits and fedoras to watch a football game in freezing weather, which I still don't understand.
I truly think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe they were just, a lot of them were always there, but because we didn't have the 24-hour news cycle, we didn't know about them. But it seems like this explosion of bowls started while we were like in our maybe late teens, early 20s. It feels like before that there was only, the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, like
New Year's
11,
Day was it?
11 maybe bowls, and that was it. And then all of a sudden they started coming out with things like the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter Bowl, and things like that. And you're kind of like, that seemed new. I remember when it happened, when all these crazy bowl names started coming out. But
Wasn't there like a Camping World Bowl or an RV Bowl or something like that?
yeah, and the whole, just like
A Meineke Car Care Bowl. That's
The Duke Mayo Bowl, where the winning coach gets doused by a tub of mayonnaise, is
yes.
about the most disgusting thing ever, and that's in Charlotte.
awful. I was gonna say that's here. Yeah.
I finally was, after a long time, able to convince my wife that there's no need to watch parades. It's a 3-hour-long commercial. A parade is a commercial. And she got it. She's like, you know what? You're right. That's stupid, and I'm not going to fall for it anymore. But now with these bowl games that are sponsored by products, now the game's a commercial too. They always go, like, the reporters come in and they're like, oh, I'm enjoying my Bluebell ice cream. At the end of the first quarter, it's like,
I'm
I'm
not gonna fall for it. You know what that just reminded me of? You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Like, Oh, by the way, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for one comment that we made. The razzle dazzle call that we made in the first quarter. I think it was the second quarter when Jones waggled to his, going to his left, and we hit our tight end Vanett. I think who only made his second catch of the year. I'm like, whoa, look at this razzle dazzle from the New York Giants. Because up until that point, we hadn't seen a thing to resemble an NFL offense. And then that was the old line from, what's his name, John Winger in Stripes, right?
Yeah.
Razzle dazzle.
John Winger.
Oh my
Winger.
God.
Yeah.
Awesome. A Stripes reference. That's off the charts.
What do you
That's
say,
so
Winger? Let's cut out the bullshit between you and I. Let's.
Sorry,
Just feel like saying it. Just want to say that to somebody. Yeah.
Is our big toe.
He's our big toe. It's like Dable. Dable's our big toe.
Brian Dable's our big toe.
He's definitely shaped like a big toe.
It was taking us half the game to figure out what Dable was wearing with the black hoodie.
Yeah, he needs to. He needs to get off that look, man. Whatever that was. Like the black great kazoo. What the hell was going on?
I almost
If
want to
he-
tell him, like, hey, dude, most of the time when you're wearing a hoodie, you don't actually wear it on your head. You just
Yeah.
kind of let it rest behind your neck.
Well,
You know?
it looked like he had a motorcycle helmet on, and then the hoodie up over
Right.
the motorcycle helmet.
Right.
It's like
Perfectly round, like, this
Yeah.
rounded shape.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if you could go stick 2 antenna on that thing, and he would have looked like. You know what he looked like? He looked like the guys running the controls in Spaceballs. That's what he looked like. He's one of the Spaceballs guys. This guy's an asshole. Yes, I am, sir.
You guys got anything else this week?
I wanted to point out. I think there's something that's not being said out there by us that needs to be said, and that, the whole world is freaking out about roughing the passer. I want you guys to think back real hard and remember the last roughing the passer called on Daniel Jones.
It's tough. He can't even get face mask calls when it's obvious.
I'll give
on
you a
the
hint.
open
Been
field.
one this year?
It was 2021.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was in September to the Chase Young was the last one we've had.
Oh.
September.
Mhm.
So almost 2 full seasons.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones with no offensive line running
Right.
for his life
Right.
goes.
So
a
no one
full
has
season
collapsed
to
their
the-
entire weight on the man in
No.
60 sacks or whatever?
No one. Even by the low threshold we have for roughing the passer, no one's done that to Daniel Jones.
No.
Somehow, believe it or not,
That's awesome. That's
When
a
he
great
gets-
statistic.
when he gets the snap and has 2 offensive or defensive linemen in his face immediately, they've all been very nice to him and set him down softly to the ground. I thought that was funny.
That's awesome.
Actually, it might not be true. I kind of made it up, but
I did think it was fun watching the Manning cast when they had DeMarcus Ware on and they showed the DeMarcus Ware sacks of Eli Manning.
yeah.
Mm.
I
thought it was
didn't
fun.
I didn't like seeing the sacks, but Eli's like, yeah, he got me there. Oh yeah, he got me there. And there's one where he rips him down on the side.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a little. You didn't really have to throw me down that hard, did you?
I liked DeMarcus Ware when they told him that because he had no idea that Eli was in his career by far his most sacked quarterback was Eli.
Oh, we didn't know. I missed
And
that part of
he
the cast.
started laughing. Yeah, he was laughing. He's like, the most though? I didn't know that. He's like, come on, Eli.
So we did not have any questions this week. Our resident Cowboy fan forgot to put them in, so he said he'll catch us later. He did wish us a Merry Christmas, so we do wish all of our listeners a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back before the Happy New Year. But guys, big game against Minnesota. Realistically, we only need one more win out of the 3 to clinch a playoff spot, and I found a tidbit out. We were talking about that jackass that had the tie and button-down shirt doing the what was it? The percentages of who wins. And we're like,
Oh my
what is
God.
this? This
Mm.
is like
Yeah.
politics. Well, the guy is the politics guy. They brought him over to do this segment now in football, bringing him over from the politics side.
Looks like
Right.
election night. Election night when in front of the map.
These
So why the
percentages.
what is the relevance of this shit?
It's irrelevant. You know what the difference is in politics and what this guy's doing is the politicians don't play games against each other leading up to the freaking election. These games
Right.
are going to settle this all out. Just relax. I've said this 100 times about the in-game stats. What the hell good is a stat if with 30 seconds left in the game, you can have a 99% chance to win and then you lose? That invalidates the entire stat. It means
Mhm.
nothing at that point.
Well,
and it
like you said,
happens all
Mike,
the time.
Like you said, Mike, at that point, it's 8:18 at night. By 8:19, you know who's won. You don't need a stat to tell you who's won. The actual score tells you who's won.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Madness.
It is madness. It is absolute madness. And again, going back to season 1 on this podcast, who does the NFL marketing, who do they think is watching the game? There is such a huge desire to make football a statistics-based game like baseball. And the football season would have to be 162 games long for that to happen.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, that's the reason.
You guys don't want to
baseball's
see a
such
guy with
statistical game.
You guys don't want to see guys in spectacles and a tie and button-down shirt telling you what the odds are to make the playoffs?
I don't even like him when he's on for the election. So certainly don't want him ruining my football day.
No, I don't.
But I thought that was hilarious because Cardone even said, it's like we're in a fucking election.
Yeah.
And that's the same jackass that they bring out for the elections. It's like,
Yeah.
To Mike's point, in 60 minutes of game time, we're going to know who won this game.
We're going to know for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, it's even the numbers of the Giants. Giants win this game 88%. 88% what? If they win this game, they have to beat the Colts in 2 weeks. That's how football people talk.
Exactly.
Like, how many football guys did you talk to the next day, guys, where you said, hey, good job, we won. 88% chance to make the playoffs. Nobody said that. They said, we got to beat the Colts.
That's it. We know what we got to do.
Well, guys, if I don't see you, I think our next game is on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So
it is.
have a happy Christmas Eve. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back at this. We got to. We'll talk offline whether we do this next Wednesday or next Tuesday or whatever. But we'll be back on air.
It'll be
Merry Christmas, everyone. Yep.
Even Dallas fans.
Go Giants! I